Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. We're in the 3.5 Monster Manual, and we are on Vampire. There's two Vampire entries. There's Vampire and Vampire Spawn. I don't see a significant reason to do both, so I'm just going to do like a generic Vampire and call that a win, and then we'll move on to the Varghul. So for the Vampire, my first thought was to use this Strahd mini I have, but I have this hero click, and I don't know who it is, but man, if he had a head, he could just be a sick vampire. So let's see if we can't figure that out. All right, cool. I got a head here. Let's see if it fits. No, it doesn't. It's not going to look nice in there. Let's see if I can't snip that back off and make it work. This is going to make his neck look derpy no matter what I do there at that point. That might not be bad. How does it look from the back? Maybe not. Maybe just do the Strahd and call it a win. I also have this sick Luke Cage that could make a good head for that. Let's try it. I'll put a dab of glue in there and see if I can get the head to look okay. And then if I can, I can. If I can't, I can't. What do you guys think? Yeah, sick Vampire Lord. Success. Let's do it. First we'll need a base. Poo, poo, poo. If I lie here, if I just lie here, would you eat baked beans and go hang out with squirrels? All right. A little bit of super glue on them pizzas. And we get them stuck up on that base. Well, maybe we'll get them stuck up on that base. Pretty sturdy. So for the neck here, I don't want to get too much glue, so I'm just going to get a little dab. Let me get, let's get super glue, hot glue on it. Let me get a little bit on here. Use this to give me a sense of control. Pinning this head would be far better than what I'm doing. But, you know what I mean? He's leaning forward a little bit, I think. But since I didn't get this base on here super straight, let's see if I can't fix that. Mrs. Doom and I are going to play some Enshrouded after the boys go to bed. That'll be nice. Play some video games with my beautiful wife. Okay. Now, oh shit, I gotta go upstairs and get black paint. All right, so we're gonna let this dude sit for just a second there. And that is clear coat on him so that everything sticks nice. And I'll be right back. All right, grab the can of black spray. And let's see if we can't hit this fella with it. All right, I think I saturated it a little bit much, but we'll see. Let's hot air gun this bad boy and see what we can get out of him. So I did oversaturate them. So we're going to have to do a little bit of cleanup work, especially around the edges of the base, because that's going to be very noticeable. And then we'll look on the sculpt and see if there's any spots I need to hit. So around the edge of the base, we're just going to come over here and just lightly dab this with TP. Okay. And rub off the bulbous spots, and then we'll fix that with the paint job later. I really oversaturated that bad too. I did not mix that paint up enough because I was rushing. You should always shake those cans till it's evenly distributed. Don't rush like I did. But we don't edit around here, so sometimes we just got to work around it. All right, so since my thing's sticky, I just put some tape there so it won't aggravate me to death. So we're gonna have to get some thin black and do a base coat now because of my rushing. I don't think we'll need too much paint, but we will need a soft brush. Okay, there's a little soap in that because I just made new water, but that's all right. We'll figure it out as we go. As a team. Now, even though this is still a little sticky and not dry all the way, what will happen is when we get this acrylic on here, this or whatever, yeah, acrylic, we will be able to dry it easier. It'll, you know, kind of just blend in together and become part of the base coat. Okay. So that's really going to be bendy because some of these hero clicks are, yeah, that's super bendy. All right, let's get some water, or not water, some white and a soft brush. And let's see what details we have on this bad boy. Soft makeup brush. Getting a lot of phone calls today. If I lie here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget to prime? Too much prime is worse than none. Destroy detail. Okay. We don't want to go too crazy in the deep spots with that white. We just want to kind of touch in there and see if there's any texture we can play with, but we don't want to spend a lot of effort on that. Then we want to make sure we hit his face pretty good, and we want to get his neck a little bit. Okay. So first step for him is hit him with the air again. Make sure this is all drying good, and it should be. And then we're gonna. Okay. So for his face, normally you would do a vampire, I guess, to look like a human, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get this Admiral Blue here. I'm going to get my size 1 brush. I'm getting that damp with my mouth, and I'm going to do all his flesh with that Admiral Blue first. Oh, somebody pulling in my driveway. Oh, they're leaving. Good, because I don't want any visitors. Not while I'm making a video. Okay. And we'll let that go for a while. What else can we use this blue on? Should we use this blue on anywhere else on him? It's pretty dark. Let's use it for his cloak and stuff too. While we're at it, might as well, right? So, I don't care how good this is. I'm going to try to thin this out and spread this as much as humanly possible. And I say that, and what I think of when I say that is, if you've seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy, not the Hobbit trilogy, because that's not the Lord of the Rings. That's the Hobbit journey, or Hobbit trilogy. But the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there is a line in there about butter being spread too many times over bread, so it's super thin, referring to Bilbo's age and how he feels. That is what comes to mind when I say that. We're going to spread it real thin, and we're going to, until it stops covering, we're going to keep spreading it. I think I'd like to use some speed paints on this dude at some point. I've been slacking on speed paints lately. I love speed paints, but I don't use them the way most people do is another thing why I don't always use them. Like, I use them to, like this doesn't need speed painted. If you're going to, like the way I have it painted now with the white and black, you could just speed paint over that and get really nice results. But I don't like to do that. I can do that. I don't like to. And you're probably like, why didn't you just paint the Strahd you had? Well, because some of you might not have a Strahd, but you probably have some kind of miniature that has a cape, or that you could add a cape to. and make you sick indie vampire that's not mainstream Strahd. Indie vampire, listen to me. Sound like any one of my 17-year-old girlfriends when talking about punk music. I only listen to indie music. Yeah, I think to myself, like half the bands they listen to are like on Epitaph Records, and they're like, indie music. It's not indie music. But anyways, so that's a decent coat on there, and we don't want to go too thick or too fancy with that. And I really don't care if I hit every single spot. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Too much poop in my bum makes me fart. I'm going to clean that brush out dry. Set it off to the side. And I'm going to hunter gun this dude. And if you just look there, and that's all we did was that real thin coat, you can already see there's a lot of texture there that you can play with, make look good. Just like, one dry brush could set that next level, I bet. Okay, now for the armor, I do want to do metallic, but I don't want it to be over the top. So I'm going to get my brush metal color here, which is a gray, silver gray. All right, well, that's not behaving at all. Okay. It just needs shooked. We'll do it right out of here, even though I didn't want to. I wanted to add a blue tint to this. So I have my blue metallic here. Let me see if I can't get that to squirt out so I can play with it a little bit. There we go. All right. Your brush damp. Make sure it's damp too. Don't just dampen it a little bit. Make sure it's damp. And I'm going to a little bit of blue in there. Something like that. I want that a little darker. I have a metallic black somewhere that I never use because I hate it. There it is. We're going to just play a silly game here called the Silly Metallic Game, where I mix a bunch of metallics until it's just terrible and impossible to work with. So we'll darken that up. There we go. And we'll add some of that blue in there. And we got a good chunk of it here to play with. Nice. So we're going to, is that cape parts? Okay. So that's fabric. We'll come back and hit that later. We'll do all the metallic parts first. And we'll clean this up and try to make it look nice. And then we'll come back over this later with one of the tones. One of my strong tone, dark tone, one of those tones. If I lie hard, if I just lie hard, would you lie hard with me? Just forget the world. Okay. Okay. We're getting there. Nicely done, sir. Thank you, sir. And we're going to get up in the little cracks there. And I'm going to do that sword blade too. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that extra, that blue though. Give that kind of a differentiated kind of bluer, more bluer. Okay. Now, those are some kind of fabric up there. But this thing around his neck is probably metal. Some kind of neck guard so he doesn't get re-vampired. Because nobody wants to get vampired more than once. I'm already a vampire. I can't handle it anymore. Sorry, Ted. I'm going to have to bite you and make you more vampire. Damn it! One, 2, 3 times I've been vampire today. All right, so we want the cloth parts here to, and the ones on his shoulders, to look nice with the cape, but we don't want them to be identical. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a lighter tone as our base. So I'm going to get this a ward blue here, and I'm going to give them a lighter kind of, I might mix that with a darker blue actually. What's this? Mountain blue. We're going to do mountain blue. This is dark, but it's still in the mid-range, I think. Me hopes. And this is fairly watery. And I think that'll complement the other blue well on these shoulder things, whatever they are. Shoulder things. Now I'm going to hit that where that little button is, or whatever, that little thing that holds it in place. Then I'm going to come back and do that with metallic to make it easier, because then trying to go around it. Okay. Pretty happy with that. So, we need to do his hair. To do his hair, I'm going to get my favorite color in the whole world, pavement. And I'm going to ever so carefully, with my brush damp, come back here behind his ears and do a very thin coat of pigment everywhere he's supposed to have hair. You're probably thinking, Doom, why didn't we do his skin first? Well, because it just occurred to me we hadn't finished it, that's why. But we make mistakes and we learn from them. Am I right? This is no exception. All right, let's hot air gun this bad boy. Oh, my camera's super janky tonight. I'm having all kind of problems here. Oh, now it's the wrong way. All right, let me put my brush down and fix that. Okay, is that better? All right, so we got the skin is still blue, the hair is gray, the armor's silver, but I said we're going to do a dark tone on that, or a dark wash on that or something, and we will. See how when I dry brush that white over the black and then I use thin paint on there, you can get a lot of texture already, a lot of interest. It's not a bad plan when you're doing stuff like this. It gives you a lot more effort with or a lot more look with less effort, and you kind of can use that to decorate and stuff easily. So we're going to do a dark brown on the base and the handle of the sword. I'm going to do the handle of the sword first. I'm I'm going to be very careful with this. I'm not going to try to get paint anywhere we've already worked. And I did say I wanted to use some speed paints in here somewhere too. So we got to still do that somewhere. Because I said we would. Even though I don't feel like it's going to matter at this point, we're going to do it. Okay. Let's get that sword hilt looking sharp. And then here's this little thing that like it slides through. It's like a sleeve instead of a sheath. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to go around his feet with this and then come back with a larger brush and do the majority of his base work. And that's just to make my life a little easier. Actually, we could probably just do the whole base with this since we're like half done already. Okay. And if we get it over onto this flat area that's off the earth part, that's okay. It's not going to kill us because I'm going to come back and do that outer edge in black. Okay. Hot air gun time. Now for the flesh, I want you guys to grab a very light thin color, a very light pink color, unless you don't feel comfortable using something this light against it. And we're going to thin, not thin it, but we're going to get very little of this on our brush. And we're going to paint the face and stuff with that pink. Trying more so to catch the, not the deep recesses, but the kind of the 3D sticky out parts. And you're probably going to have to do that more than once. And the reason I wanted to do this instead of the normal colors you use for flesh is because I'm trying to capture something. So once you have that pink on there, get a really, really super light gray or a very, very, very super pale blue. Hit this with the air gun. Now for me, I'm using a very, very, very pale gray called granite gray. And it might not even be quite as pale as I want it to be. Then I'm going to drag that around and get most of that off. And then I'm going to touch around the face. And I don't want to cover up the pink completely. I just want to give it like a dull sheen on the high points to take away from the pinkness of it. Okay. Okay. I said we'd use speed paint, and we will. This is just a HeroClick base. I'm going to get a little bit of this pallid bone. Nope, not the pallid. Yeah, the pallid. No, not the pallid bone. The, where's it at? Runic Gray. And some speed paint medium. I'm just doing like a drop of each. Oh, that's too much. Damn me. Oh, well. That'll happen from time to time. I'm going to mix those up. I'm going to wipe some of that off. Then I'm going to touch that face with it. And just clean that up with that little bit of a blue tint back over the pink. Okay. And that's going to pick up some detail on him. Then I'm going to touch the hand again. Or not again, but touch the hands with it. Give them that. And this is how I'm trying to capture my I'm dead vibe thing. Okay. If you have too much, you'll see quickly, and you can come back and clean that up. All right, now let's air gun this. Whoa, flying pieces. This is a fractional brush. It's a very, very tiny brush. I'm getting an off-white. And just a dibby dab of that. Now for this dude, I'm not going to give him any irises or pupils. I'm just going to give him a very faint little bit of eyes. Actually, you know what? Let's do a red dot. Hell with it. We're already here. I like red. Red eyes means evil, dudes. Oh, my paint's falling everywhere. I'm dying. All right. Very tiny red dot here. No cleanup work needed. That's the kind of shit I like. I'm going to get a little bit of this red. I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. And then I'm just going to drag it into his mouth. Like that. I'm pretty happy with that. All right. A little bit more things we have to do real quick before we do the black base and the metallic decor. So we need to lighten up this cloak in some spots, and to do that, we're going to use the same mountain blue that we did on his clothing, and this is going to tie those together nicely. We're going to start up here, and we're just going to grab some spots, not all of it, that really stick up, okay? Then underneath, we're just going to hit that edge, and then we're going to leave that alone. Now, to do the next portion of his stuff, I should have grabbed a smaller brush for this. I'm I'm going to get something a little subdued. This is called turquoise. And it's a pretty color, but it's not as vibrant. So I'm going to get a small, thin brush with plastic bristles. I'll get a tiny bit of that, not too much. Mix that all in my bristles. Then I'm just going to drag that across and just lighten it up a little bit. Across there. And then I'm going to hit just some of the bigger couple spots on the back with that. And just get a little bit of tone. I'm happy with that. Nothing fancy, duders. Just stuff we can all do. Little stuff we can all do. I'm going to get my black paint and do the base around him. Then I'm going to dry brush his hair a gray color. Then we're going to put the either strong tone or the dark tone, I haven't decided which, on his armor to give it some bam. And we also have some gems and you know, metals and stuff on his armor that I have to look at and see what I'm going to do about. And then I'm going to go record a short, and then I'm going to go play Enshrouded with Mrs. Doom. And that's going to be nice. Well, I'm going to go tell the boys a story probably first. And then go play Enshrouded, because I think they don't go to bed exactly till 7 anyway, so there's time for a story. Even if it's a quick story, there'll be time for a story. Story about the adventures of Barembus and Grambus, two little boys that find themselves in insane situations. Their dad is the monster police in their town, which is not the police of arresting monsters necessarily, but it's the police that come to deal with incidents involving monsters. For example, if monsters have a problem, the monster police come. Of course, if monsters act up, also do come the monster police. But so for the hair, I'm getting this light to mid-tone gray here. It's called elephant gray. And I'm going to get the tiniest bit of this. Like, you just can't believe how small of a bit. I'm going to wipe that around in my brush. Wipe a lot of it off. Then I'm going to touch that hair. Just drag that around. And give it a little detail. A little bit of interest. And that blue seam where the hair meets the face, I'm leaving intact. No eyebrows on this dude. That's a problem, right? Right. So I'm going to get the fractional brush out and hope we don't screw this one up. Pavement. Let's use black. And let's use miniature paint. All right. I would like to make those eyes pop a little bit more. And I would like his forehead and cheeks just to stick out a little bit more. All right, we're getting there. Last step. Let's get some plastic here, and let's get some tone. I'm thinking I'm going to use dark tone, and it'll look better than the strong tone on this, but that's me. You do you, Bo. Crackhead. So we want to go on here and we want to drag this into the recesses and everything. But what we do not want to do is saturate this, okay? We want to get a coating that'll get in the cracks and darken it up and create some interest. But we do not want to saturate this or it'll never dry and it'll look a little bit over the top. And you don't have to hit every single spot, but it is good to get decent coverage. And with that little bit of a blue in the armor, I think it'll look sharp. And I'm going to do this pant leg here and boot and all that. And you can already see a fair amount of detail with that little bit, and it makes a difference. Let me get a little more in there. There we go. And the back of the sleeve. You can see it makes an enormous difference. It really does. Really just makes a miniature like tell more of a story, in my opinion. Now, as I have almost none left, I'm going to drag it onto the sword blade. And then I'm going to come up here. And I don't want to darken this up too much. So I'm just going to rub a little bit on there and make it a little bit wet. Okay. Now, I said we have those like buttons or whatever these things are. There's 2 up there and there's 2 down there. And I'm just going to get some gold and do a complete swap up. And we're going to do the pommel with the hilt with that, lightly. And then we're just going to do little edges on the handguard. And on this little sleeve, fake sheath thing. Okay. Now, I'm not real happy with the face still at this point. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to get, I have that off-white here, and I'm going to mix some of this ash gray with it. And I'm just going to do one little kind of touch over on that, avoiding the forehead and eyebrows. You can't really see it. I'm just mixing right here, up here. I'm going to wipe all that off, but a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to hit these cheeks a little bit with it. In the nose. Just because I didn't quite like the way that face looked. I'm going to touch the hands a little bit with it just to bring those fingers back from the edge of darkness. Cool. All right. So I'm going to do one more thing, and then we're going to call it. I know this has been a long paint job. I'm going to get a little teeny brush here and some brown. This is called chocolate bar, so I don't want that. This is melted chocolate. Let's just get a tiny bit of this and give some variation to this base. And we're just going to get in there and chuck it around and make the 3D part have a little interesting look. Dispose of that brush. When I say dispose of, I don't mean throw it away. I mean throw it in my water. And we'll pull the condom off my clear glue. Yes, that's right, Sweeney. And we'll put a little flock on here. Not much, just a little bit. I think that with his current color scheme, he's got enough color on him that we don't need to obliterate this with flock. Now, Mrs. Doom and I did stay up till after midnight playing Enshrouded last night. And that was a total mistake, dudes. One of the first things we talked about when I got home, she was already home, and one of the first things we talked about was how tired we were at work today. All right, so there's my vampire. He's got a little bit of a derpy eye. I can live with that. So if you like what we're doing here on the channel, please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave some comments, join our Discord, show us what you're working on, what you're painting, what you're crafting. We got a dude on there making weapons. We got somebody on there crocheting and felting. We have people on there just doing amazing miniature work and terrain work, and I'd love you to come check it out and share your stuff with us too. Also, interesting thing, we do have the website that sells miniatures. Not these miniatures, but the high quality, beautiful Dungeon Swag miniatures. This is the last demon from the November box that I'm working on, and I want to do this one in yellow. These are gorgeous. They're sturdy. Look, you can't snap those off. They bend. They're high detail. And they're just really fun to paint minis. So, why don't you go to the website and buy some minis. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Oh, you want one more look at the vampire? I'm a vampire.